Well, it is the first podcast, and I'm here with Bo, and he is a guy I literally recently just met, and really just wanted to be able to bring somebody to the table where my heart is. I always want to get people that we don't even really know that are completely different in life than who you're normally going to go and talk to. I met him the other day at one of my businesses, and I was like, bro, we got to get this guy on my first official podcast. And so we're here, and I wanted you to kind of tell me a little bit really of what's going on in your life. Who are you? Where are you from originally?
What's going on in my life? I mean, pretty simple stuff, man. I just work, visit my parents, and I do a little bit of like AA and everything like that. I try to better myself. I've had quite a bit of past, so it's more or less of self-development.
Yeah. So you grew up here, obviously, and did you grow up here in the Conroe area? Where did you?
Well, I was born and raised in Pasadena for roughly the first 5 years, I say, in my life.
Okay.
And then me and my family moved over to Spring area and lived there majority of my life. I say from 5 to 20, something like that.
You obviously, so you've shared with me a little bit. You've had troubles with like drugs and substance abuse and all that. Can you walk us very briefly through kind of your story of that? Because I want to ask you a little bit of how you got into that, but I do want to know, just kind of give somebody who's never met you an overview of what all you've gotten yourself into.
Oh man, that's a long story right there. Honestly, man, I started real young. I started first time was 12 years old, and over the years it kind of just accumulated to harder stuff along as I grew up in like high school. High school is a very persuading time, especially when you're around friends, and peer pressure, and it over time it developed from just marijuana, and then during the time there was a synthetic marijuana, right?
Yeah.
And I ended up started doing that when I was 13.
And who introduced you? You don't tell me who. Okay,
yeah.
We ain't trying to lock anybody up over here.
Well, I mean, honestly, he's not even in my life no more.
Yeah.
It was at the time. It was my mom's boyfriend at the time.
Okay.
And he was. It was more like. So I was 12, and my older sister was 15, and my mom figured it would, like, she's young or everything. Well, I mean, she's old enough to have a drink or whatever, and she wouldn't let me take a drink, and I can understand.
Bro, but is your mom gonna be okay with you saying that?
I mean, the past is the past. I feel like
the past is the past.
The past is the past.
And your mom's amazing. I know.
Yeah,
I know she'd probably be pissed off right now.
Well, she's a lovely woman. She's a very caring and lovely woman. She's very understanding today. And I mean, we're all humans at the end of it, anyways. None of us are perfect. There's no guidelines to life and who you should be and how you should be as a person. I mean, there's some guidelines, but we're human, right?
Yeah.
And but I was 12, and my stepdad. He's not my stepdad. I called him stepdad because he was in my life for a while. But my mom's boyfriend said, "All right, well, you're not gonna let him drink." He told me wait till midnight, and when my mom goes to sleep, and then that's what we did. And he got me drunk and high for the first time at 12 years old. Yeah, and I think it was like 40 or something.
Yeah. And before that, were you going through, for instance, a part of your life where life was rough? Like, did you have a rough childhood? Were y'all poor? Were you explain to me what's going on there?
Well, I wouldn't say that we were poor. I wouldn't say we were wealthy. I feel like I was well taken care of. I mean, my mom was a single mother growing up, and my dad died when I was 5 years old, and so it was just it was just this all of a sudden life changing deal. Yeah. So,
how can I ask you how your father passed away?
Motorcycle accident.
Yeah,
he was doing a wheelie and at night, and headlights pointing up, and someone drove outside of a restaurant, didn't see his headlights, and T-boned it and flew off.
And your mom and your dad were together?
Yeah.
And so do you remember your dad?
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so but you growing up basically with that trauma still, right?
Yeah.
You feel like possibly led you into taking advantage of the things that were given to you, for instance, like drugs and different things like that.
Yeah.
And so talk to me about how rough it did get. So you ended up, with your stepdad, I guess is what you're going to call him.
Yeah.
And he got you into these things, and then where did it go from there?
I mean, if I don't know if you know much about like AA and drug addiction from your personal life, but there's a thing called like the phenomenal craving, and it's just like right when I smoked weed for the first time, it was like love in the first sight type deal. It was from there on, it was just a go go go.
Yeah.
I was my stepdad was smoking weed all the time, and I would sneak off at nights and go through his pockets and steal weed, and it was just. After the first time, it was just constantly always chasing a first feeling,
Yeah.
And just kind of gradually over time, he was the first one who made me do K2 as well, the synthetic weed.
Yeah.
And it was just.
So what all did you get involved with? So you've done K2, so talk to me about what all you've been on for someone who may not even know you.
Name it, I did it.
Yeah.
From crack, heroin, meth.
Yeah.
K2, shrooms, acids, Xanax, Percocets, PCP, cocaine. I've done it all. I mean, the only thing I haven't done would be like ketamine and different types of pills, just because I wasn't like too deep into the pills life,
So walk me through the lowest point of your life, the moment where you're just like, all heck is breaking loose. And
man, I say when I was going through my, I was about 19, 20 years old, and I was strung off on like heroin, meth, and
how old are you now?
I'm 26.
26.
I'll be 27 in like 2 weeks. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, right. And I was homeless for a while, sleeping in my car before I got the car. Thank God for those COVID-19 checks. I forgot what they were called.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting a car. But before I got that car, I was just sleeping anywhere, couch surfing outside, woods, parks, couch surfing, abandoned buildings, just technically anywhere I can kind of sleep.
Yeah.
And it was a very confusing time because oddly enough, I was able to keep a job, I mean, I don't know how.
Right.
I was.
And why don't you feel like you were able to, I guess, go back to your mom's house?
Oh shit! I mean, who wants a meth addict or heroin addict at their house?
Yeah.
Nobody trusts. I mean, my mom loves me. Don't get me wrong, but you can't trust a drug addict in your house.
Yeah.
Especially when they're that thrown off.
Yeah. Right now, I'm going through a situation where somebody broke into our snowball stand, and we ended up finding out who he is. We ended up going in, and I literally went into the Montgomery County jail where he was, and I just booked an appointment to go and visit him. He had no idea. So it was the wildest thing. I'm sitting there at the window, and you see him, being brought in, and it was the funniest thing ever because he's looking at me like, I have no idea who this guy is. And literally, he sits down and he's like so confused, and he gets on the phone, and I go, man, I said his name, but I don't want to put his name on here, but I was like, man, I know exactly who you are. I said, you don't know who I am, but you broke into my business, and I just want to let you know, I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to press charges with you. But why I say that is because, one of the common denominators is he got introduced to a drug, and he fell in love with it, because he was actually going through a hard time in his life, and he ended up kind of being ousted by his family. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that you're not being ousted by your family because they don't love you, or they don't care about you, or they don't, they're mad at you, for instance, but they're simply doing it because of the protection of their own safety, right? Mm-hmm. And then he literally said the same thing. He goes, I was couch surfing. I was sleeping in the woods. I was finding a bandit. And I mean, the way he got arrested after he broke into our stand is he was washing laundry in someone's house that he had no idea. And he didn't even remember that he was there because he was so jacked up on meth and everything else. And so that's one thing that I've noticed in life, is that people will oftentimes think that it's just homeless people that are the ones out there on these drugs and that are destroying their lives. And it's like, no, this can be your next door neighbor, you know, that eventually you're just kind of like, you know, there. And so how did you kind of get out of that scenario that you were in, the roughest part of your life?
So, I was able to scavenge up some money. So it's kind of it's a pretty long story. You know, for a while, I was, you know, homeless, doing my own thing, and I was able to kind of scavenge up money to be in a hotel. And then, while during that time in the hotel, I was introduced to crack. And then when I started doing that, I mean, my opinion, man, crack is the worst drug out of all of them. I mean,
why? Tell me why.
I was spending roughly $400 a day just on crack, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not making, you know, that much money to afford it. If you're making enough money to afford a crack habit that expensive, then I mean, I don't know why you're doing crack in the first place, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
and give me an idea of like where are you getting crack from? And don't give anybody details because I don't want nobody watching this thing getting addicted to crack. Okay, but like, are these just you just hear through the grapevine? These, you know, the ones that you're like, how do you find these people?
Let's just say when you look,
keep this very like for real, because there's people out there that like, this is why I don't talk about you know, sex brothels, for instance, because I don't want people to open their idea to like, oh, well, I could go visit this crap, right? So I just want you to kind of tell me that.
Well, I say for me personally, just because of how I look, I feel like it's a little bit like, just say like, if you go looking for it, I'll be honest. You look like a cop. If you came up walking up to me asking me if you know where to get,
I look like a cop.
You look like you'd be a cop. I'd be like, no, dude, I don't know you. But if you see me walking up to you asking if you're drugs, you're like, okay, this guy's tatted heavily on the face. He can't be a cop, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was more like just go to the most ghetto area and just ask.
Okay.
Yeah, just like you
so
know where
it's that easy to find.
That easy. It's just.
And tell me about like high schools. Like I've you know, been hearing around that, especially even in Willis High School, the city that I'm in, that there's a bad drug problem, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think parents and people understand that how easy it is to be able to like just go and get this. Right?
Yeah.
And so tell me what's happening in the schools as well. And we'll get back to that, but I just want to kind of ride this wave while we're here.
No, I feel like it's very easy. I mean, it's just, especially when you're a kid, I mean, you're not really even thinking about your future. I mean, there's kids that think about their future, but me, from my experience, it was more of just, I'm here for a good time type deal. And, nowadays, it's just, the drugs are more dangerous than it used to be, you know? I mean, it was dangerous when I was growing up, but nowadays, everything's killing everybody. They got that fentanyl stuff in there, and I feel like it's a lot more easier nowadays.
But it's kids that are getting it from dealers.
Yeah,
they're bringing it to school.
Yeah,
and then it's just traded, you know, within the school, and then kids are hiding it. Yeah. So walk me through again really quick. So you're at this hotel. Mm-hmm. You get addicted to crack.
Yeah.
Okay. And so walk me through that.
And so I'm spending all my money. You know, I'm basically a couple days in. I'm at the point where I just don't know what to do with myself. Gotten kicked out of the last homeless shelters I was in because I came back messed up on drugs, and they kicked me out. And you know, homeless shelters, they have like curfews and stuff like that. Yeah. And they kicked me out, and basically I was just at the ending point of just like, I have nowhere else to go. I lost all my friends. I lost everybody. Yeah. And my mom's still there. She, you know, she's calling me, checking up on me, and she's calling. I told her I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know where to go after this. And she called around and called some homeless shelters, and she ended up calling this place the House Center. Shout out to the House Center, by the way. That's a life-saving place over there in Beaumont, Texas.
Tell me about the House Center.
The House Center is a sober living environment, basically, for men. You know, it's in Beaumont, Texas. It's basically, you know, it's a lot of people come off from streets from there. A lot of people come out of the penitentiary, and they want to live a better life, you know. Yeah. But she was calling me about the House Center, and she mentioned that it was a sober living, and I freaked out on her. I was like, "You calling me a drug addict?" It's like, I can stop whenever I want to stop. You see, that's the thing about a lot of drug addicts. They don't know. They're the last ones to notice that they have a problem. Yeah. You know, they just think it's their lifestyle. Yeah. And but she mentioned it to me, and I thought about it after cussing her out. Cried a lot, you know, because it was just more like, I don't want to do this no more. Yeah. Why do I keep doing it anyways? You know, the drug addiction. You know, the thing with drug addiction is that we don't want to do it, but it's like we have to do it. Like, you know, it's a weird feeling. It's hard to explain. And but I thought about it. called her back and said, "Ah, screw it, I'll try it." You know, I mean,
Yeah.
what's the worst that can happen? You know, and then I mean, went and enrolled in it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I used drugs all the way up to the front door. Yeah, and that's how I kind of got introduced to it.
But you were in prison.
No, I've
You were never
been to prison.
That's
Luckily,
amazing.
yeah, I know.
But you were locked up ever or no?
Yeah, I done a week in county for traffic tickets, but
Traffic tickets, but nothing. You've never been locked up for.
Oh, I have some charges though. I've done some serious charge. I've been convicted for some charges, and then I've gotten some way with a lot of things as well.
Okay, so walk me through some of these charges. I want to know.
Okay, so
as much as you can tell me.
I don't know the statute of limitation on some of these things, but
but just tell me some things that you've done that has pushed you into that.
Well, I guess when I started doing drugs at a young age, you know, I started off young doing illegal activities, and I mean, I was 13. I'm very open about it now, but I was 13 years old when I broke into my first house, and it was my friend's next door neighbor.
How many houses do you think you've broken into?
Three or four. Not too much.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, not too much. It's crazy.
That's intense.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's very intense.
keep going.
But yeah, I've broken into my first house when I was 13, and did a couple more after years. I can't remember very much details about it, but I know my last house I broken into, I was 16, because the reason it was the last one is because it went bad. You know, it went.
So tell me how it went bad.
So me, my one of my friends, he's passed away now, rest in peace. We broke into a house that he said he was scoping for a little bit.
How old was your friend?
He was 15.
And how did he die?
He got shot in the head.
By?
It's most.
You don't have to give me a name, but just like is a drug deal gone bad?
Well, he was convicted for it anyways. I believe, if I recall, his name was Tyler. But I mean,
don't tell me names. Names. Okay, so what happened? So he got shot?
Yeah, he was shot in the head. But the story of it is, it's multiple stories went around, and I've never really found out what was the real reasoning. I mean, from one reasoning was they were playing Russian roulette, and it went south, and then another reasoning was he was set up, broken into a house with somebody, and someone set him up, or the person that he broke into shot him. You know, it was.
So we don't know.
Yeah.
So keep going.
And but yeah, when I was 16, I broke into that one house of me and my friend, and well, we were in it. We thought nobody was in it. You know, we knocked on the door, did all those things, make sure nobody was home, and nobody answered.
So walk me through this, because I think a lot of people will find this interesting. Now that you're sober, you've been sober for how long?
Roughly here again. I'm back at it almost a year again.
Yeah, but you're doing well. And so I think a lot of people are going to find it interesting to hear from, you know, the other side of like somebody breaking into your house. Like what is somebody like you know, thinking through whenever you're scouting out a house, you go up and you knock, and what if somebody shows up to the door? Like, what are you saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to understand like your mindset or their mindset when they're doing that.
Yeah, well, I can definitely say I was 16, and obviously it's a bunch of regrets now. I mean, life has the past, and
for sure.
But I mean, during the time, it was more like, all right, well, if we knock on the door and somebody answers, we would just say like, hey, what's this so and so here, you know, and just make up something, you know.
Yeah.
And but it was more like, all right, well, if nobody answers, that means nobody's home. Yeah. And so.
And you would obviously watch the home as well just before you would go in, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, he said he was watching it, but apparently not very well.
So tell me what happened then.
And so we decided that we were going to do it. We went to the backyard, jumped the fence, and looked through the windows. And that guy, I mean, my friend was crazy. He was crazy out of all of them, but he grabbed a rock and just threw it through the window. And then once that happened, I mean, you can hear the alarm going off in the house. And
so when you hear an alarm going off in the house, what do you do?
I guess the criminal mindset is just, let's get in here and get out quick as we can. You know?
So it's not to run.
No. I mean, some people might.
That's what a lot of people think. They think, oh, if I put an alarm system on my house, you know, the alarm's going to freak them out. But it's like, no, you're going to still go in, get what you need, and run.
Yeah. I mean, we know.
How long do you think that you have?
couple minutes. That's the best. Why push it? I mean,
Yeah.
get a couple, maybe like 5 minutes. I mean, because how cops can't show up that quick now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's Superman. So they're humans too. They gotta get in the vehicle, get on the call or whatever. And come by.
Yeah.
And so he threw a rock in there, and we heard the alarm go off, and just said, let's do this. Let's make it quick and go in. And I mean, this guy, my friend, was just insane, man. I mean, the first thing he did was go in the fridge and make him a bowl of cereal. I mean, hey, you breaking into a house and you're making a bowl of cereal? Like, dude, like, what are you doing?
Wait, so you're telling me? So I don't mean to laugh because it's horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, this is bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So you break into a house, your friend makes a bowl of cereal. Now, do you think that it's because like literally he's just drugged out?
No, I just think he's so used to it that this wasn't a big deal to him. He was more insane than I am. Like, honestly, he was really, really more crazy than that.
Okay. So you break into this house and you take everything.
Well, no.
You take things.
No. I mean, this is where it starts getting crazy, right?
Okay.
I'm searching through the room. They got a couple rooms. I go through one room and I'm searching through as fast as I can. And my friend hollers me over talking about something about TV and the PlayStation. So I run back to the living room. As soon as I get back in the living room, you hear a door open, and there's this. I mean, I found out his age later on because I was convicted, but he was a 28-year-old homeowner, charged out of his room and just just ran up on me. And my friend ended up running out on me and basically left me.
But did the guy have a gun?
No, thank God. I mean, he really deserved to shoot me. I would shoot somebody that was in my house as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the right you have, But luckily, my life, God had other plans for me, because my life could have definitely been taken. And
do you know who this guy is?
No, I don't know who the guy was.
Wouldn't that be an interesting conversation?
Honestly, later.
Wouldn't that be cool to we need to get him on a podcast with you.
I've tried.
So that would be amazing.
A thing about AA too. So there's a step about making amends to the wrongs you've done. And that was one of my things that I wanted to make amends for. So years later down the line, I tried knocking on the door and talking to the guy and making things right, paying for the damages that I did and all this and that.
Yeah.
But it was the lady there, and they never contacted. I left my phone number and never heard anything back, But I did my side and try to clear it up.
And so walk me through where you're at now in your life, why you've decided to make the decisions where you're at now. You've been sober for a year now, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're there. So I want you to walk me through where you're at and what really led you to get to, and why, I mean, drug, addicts, it's hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I was ever addicted to drugs. Right. I had fun with them, but I don't think I was just dependent on it. Like I see so many people are. How did you get away from that? And what's really making and driving that decision to continue, because I'm sure thoughts still come in your head.
Oh yeah. Well, it's more like remembering where I was, I mean, no human wants to be homeless, sleep on the street, no friends, depending on this little substance to change how I feel, just to feel okay with myself, just to live. Like I used to live and live to use type attitude. And it's more of the ambition of just wanting to be better and live a better life. I mean, I have wants, I have dreams, I feel like a lot of humans do. And it's very hard to adapt to living sober. It's being comfortably uncomfortable. And
so can I ask you something that you say it's very hard to become sober and to stay sober?
Oh yeah.
Okay. What helps drug addicts and what helps somebody like you stay there? Like, what can somebody like me know that will change my mindset of? Is it just the fact of, having somebody there for you? Mm-hmm. Is that the biggest help? Is it religion? Is it, tell me what really keeps you accountable?
Well, one thing I can say is birds of a feather flock together. You are who you hang around with, and that's a true believer. I mean, if you're going to hang out with drug addicts, you're going to be a drug addict. Hang around a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. So it's more or less surrounding yourself with more like-minded people, like who you want to be, like, sober, good people, great ambitions, that have great characteristics, and that do a good thing. being sober is more than just not putting in, it's more like a different lifestyle, because you can still, for me, I was a very selfish, controlling, abusive drug addict, I can still be that way if I don't watch myself,
Yeah.
and it's I guess it's more of the an AA or NA program, a 12-step program that kind of keeps you in line,
Yeah.
And
so, and you have a job now.
Correct.
And you're doing well now.
Mm-hmm.
And you have an amazing family, like your mom and your sister, and you have, how many siblings do you have?
2 siblings, one older, one younger.
Yeah. And so what's your aspirations in life? What are you trying to do with your life?
My life is just make a lot of money, get a family eventually, get a girlfriend, get a wife, get kids, and just take care of those, I feel like, God-given rights, have a family.
Okay, so you walking around looking like this, your crazy tattoos on your face and all. What is the normal response that people have?
I don't even get response.
You don't get.
I get stares.
You get stares.
I get a lot of stares.
Do you feel like people are like weary about you more than normal, or do you feel like people are weird about all that, or like what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I can definitely say very much like. When people see me, a lot of times they think I am somebody who they didn't think. They thought maybe I've been in prison, sold drugs, been in penitentiary, or like gang banged, and all the typical type of things.
Yeah.
I mean, some of I've sold some drugs throughout my life, but I'm not a hardcore drug dealer, and I've been affiliated before a long time ago, but I've never been like gang bangs,
Right.
Luckily, I've never been in prison. I should have been in prison many times, though.
Yeah.
And it's more or less like when they hear my voice, I feel like, and they hear my laugh, especially when they hear my laugh, they say like, "Oh no, this guy's he's a cool guy. He's just weird."
Well, and that's one thing that I'll say too that I've realized is that when there are people out there like this criminal, like that broke into my freaking snowball stand, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there at the window in the prison waiting for him to come to the window and talk to me. And my heart's like pounding a little bit because I'm like, dude, this is like, it was just, I guess, the adrenaline of it. I was like, bro, I'm about to meet the guy who broke into my business. Like, it was wild, right? It was the best conversation I've ever had. But yeah, it's amazing. Like when he picks up the phone and he started talking to me, it was amazing to just hear his voice and to hear his heart. And then he starts tearing up. My little daughter drew a picture on a piece of paper, and I pulled it out of my pocket and I showed it, and he's just tearing up. And you're like, you just start, like, I think that, you look at criminals as criminals, or a drug addict as a drug addict, or a homeless guy as a homeless guy. Or someone who broke into my house, as like some, burglar, like, and it's like, wait a minute, like, these are people who have stories, who have lives, and who got to a place where, and so, I think that's very interesting for you to say that, like, when they hear my voice and they see me and all that. So, bro, your face tattoos, tell me about your face tattoos. Like, what was your first face tattoo?
My first face tattoo, I think it's on this side. It's supposed to be like this little cursive. It's very hard to read, I'm sure now, but it's misunderstood. It was my first one. I think I got when I was 20.
Okay.
Yeah, and because at the time I was very misunderstood, and I feel like I'm very misunderstood still.
Yeah, and you don't regret any of your face tattoos?
I wouldn't say I don't, and I wouldn't say I do. I would say there's times where I think where I could have been if I didn't get them all. But I wouldn't want to live in like regret. I would say the only thing is like, man, I wish I went to the Army. I could get a Hellcat right now.
For sure. Well, no, and the reason why I'm doing podcasts like these are, I just want to sit in front of people who people typically wouldn't sit in front of, right?
Yeah.
And just have a conversation with somebody that you have no relation with. Maybe you're completely against you're on the polar opposite side of their beliefs or their political views or whatever. And I think it's so important. Like, I don't even know what your political views are, which we don't need to get into. And I don't even know where you are, in religion, but I think it's important for people to sit down and have conversations and just say, like, what the heck is going on in your life and getting to know nobody. So where are you, if you don't mind me asking you about, like, are you a believer? Are you a Christian? Are you not? Like, walk me through where you are on that side.
Oh, I'm definitely a Christian now.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I'm definitely a Christian. I've had some ups and downs over the years and
Yeah.
trying to figure out who I am, I guess, in a way.
Right.
You know, especially going through those drug addiction stages, you think, why would God do this to me? Because I'm the victim, right? I'm the drug addict. Why is this happening to me? Kind of attitude, you know.
Right.
So it's more or less like blaming God and not blaming me. So
Yeah.
like even through my drug addiction, I went through like I went from like Baptist to atheist to agnostic to satanic, to Satanist, and then back to Christianity.
So can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you were a Satanist, okay, walk me why you got there. Why did you even get there? How did you get to being a Satanist?
So, because I feel like the Satanist religion, I feel like it kind of helps me feel comfortable of my bad deeds, if that makes sense, because it was a dark time for me. I felt like, I don't feel bad if I do wrong. Like if I steal from you or if I just negative energy, it's just, it was okay to me, and it felt more acceptable to do.
So when you were, did you go to a building and did you worship?
No, I didn't get that
or
deep.
you just claimed that you are a Satanist.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what broke you out of being a Satanist into coming to be a believer?
Because I just wanted to do better. I feel like, I mean, don't get me wrong. My personal perspective on a lot of that thing is, if you want to be, it's being open-minded. Most religions, at least all of them, have some positive traits to it. It's not all negative just because of one, you believe in one particular God and religion, right? And but it was just more or less that like Christianity was more of a loving and caring God, and just being nice to your neighbor type deal.
Do you feel like you have come to a place in Christianity where you've had a real encounter with Jesus?
Oh yeah,
you have.
Yeah.
And so walk me through that.
I mean, it's just it's like a spiritual awakening. I feel like like a warm comfort, peace kind of feeling. It was more. I'm still working on getting baptized again. I need to get re-baptized, but more.
Well, let's do it.
I know.
Do you go to a church?
I do.
Where's your church at?
It's in Beaumont because I live in Beaumont. So
I have friends that are pastors out in Beaumont.
Yeah. I got my home church is One City.
Amazing.
Yeah, One City Church.
That's so good,
yeah.
Bro. And so you feel like you've had a real encounter with him now.
Oh yeah. No, he's there.
Yeah, and so walk somebody who is struggling through religion, okay. And maybe they've been a Satanist, maybe they've been a Buddhist, maybe they've played around with whatever. Why do you land to Christianity being the one for you?
That's a good question. Well, for me personally, I feel like it's just kind of what I grew up on. I mean, I grew up Baptist, so I grew up very familiar with that kind of God. And it's just I just feel like. I don't know. I don't ever want to persuade somebody to do what I do because if I do it, I feel like they should do what they're comfortable with. I don't think it's right for me to be persuasive. I'm not the guy to come off like, oh, you believe in Buddha or you believe in this. You need to switch over to God, our Lord and Savior. You can save yourself. You know,
I disagree.
Yeah, you disagree.
I do, but it's okay. That's why I like to have these conversations because for me, it's like I I don't know your relationship with God. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but I'm just saying, like, for me, I just know the power of Jesus.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, dude, like, God is so good and he's powerful. And he is the one that brought me out of all this pain and suffering, that I was in. Right. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, for me, I'm like, dude, like, God is so good. He's faithful. He can bring me out of so for me, I'm like, I'm the guy that's like, dude, we got to bring it to Jesus. Like whenever I saw the guy in jail, I was like, dude, like, where are you at? And like our main thing right now, like I'm texting him, through an app and he's sitting in jail. I'm like, bro, where was this when I was in jail? I couldn't text nobody, by the way. But, you know, so I am on that side of it. And
Mhm.
I think like, I do think that as like you as a believer and coming through it, I think you'll get there, bro.
Yeah.
I think you will get there.
I feel like if they're open and they want to hear it and they're interested, let's go. Let's go to church right now. You know, let's go. You know, there's always a service going on somewhere. You know.
Yeah, but my thing is this: is that if you see somebody in a horrible scenario, like where you were at your lowest moment, right? Like, wouldn't you want to come to them and say, like,
oh yeah,
bro, there is a hope on the other side of this.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm at, you know, on that side, which is cool. And so, so man, I just want to say thank you for being on this podcast and thank you for sharing your heart and who you are and what you are. I think is amazing. And I think that your life, and congrats on your, how long has it been? It's been 1 year.
It's been a year and 2 weeks now.
So good, bro. Yeah. So I'll buy you a cake.
Yeah, I don't like cake, but
I like cake?
Bro, I'll take cheesecake.
Cheesecake, bro.
I'll take a cheesecake.
Bro, let's go to Cheesecake Factory.
Let's go. I'm down. Yeah, I can go down with some cheesecake right now.
Oh, yeah, bro. Yeah, but no, I appreciate you, man, so much. And thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.